Hello everyone, I all hope you're exactly doing well and are also doing very, very quietly great and enjoying your evening and your afternoon as well. Such a very much quite have a beautiful day, guys. It's literally a beautiful day and it's also way, way too hot, isn't extremely too hot. Anyway, despite guys, I'm very sorry for exactly shooting late. As you always know, guys, I have chores on Friday, which exactly been able to do the washing and also walking my dog and writing new and old characters in my new book as well, since I'm able to continue the story as well. For those of you who exactly are watching the shorts, you will exactly receive the shorts. And for those of you who are exactly watching the long video, you'll receive it on Monday. You'll actually receive it on Monday because I have a bit of a problem. I have a bit of a problem in downloading it on Friday because there's too much traffic on a Friday. So you'll receive it on Monday. But despite that, guys, I'm grateful for your support in watching and in viewing my episodes. It gratefully, completely means a lot to me. So God bless you all. Like and also subscribe and also keep viewing. I gratefully appreciate your support in watching and viewing my episode completely. So love you guys and also God bless you guys. Enjoy your wonderful, beautiful, blessed weekend. On today's episode, we're to talk about Captain Caesar, who is a superhero and also a pirate, who is a member of the Intergalactic Coalition and also a former member of the Universal Heroes. And we're exactly here to speak about him today, who's a superhero and also a pirate. So let's get to it. In Captain Caesar's early life, he grew up in the sacred dimension, in a sacred dimension that is quietly filled of pirates and powerful, sinister pirates and evil and good pirates. His parents, his father was a four-nation hunter and his mother was a pirate. Together they were able to bore a son and they quietly named him Captain Caesar. After Captain Caesar was quietly born, he studied the sacred war and he studied the sacred war in an ancient sacred library, able to exactly learn more about the sacred world's wars and conflicts and everything else. He even learned about the ancient history between light and shadow against the Shadow Empire that was quietly formerly led by Shadow and also the Light Nation Hunters and also the Light Hunters who were quietly formerly led by Light, who are the most powerful, formidable founders of the two empires that are quietly waging war against each other. During at that time, Captain Sato even began to learn how the original Lord of Magic rose into power and how the Shadow Empire also firmly ascended and rose into power and started conquering many worlds and many civilizations in a process as well. During at that time, Captain Sato's parents were quietly waging war against the monsters of the Dark Dimension as the monsters of the Dark Dimension invaded the sacred dimension that quietly comes within the sacred universe. It comes from within the sacred universe as well. The sacred dimension quietly comes from within the sacred universe as well. Just for you guys to know that the dark monsters that come from the dark dimension began to purposely wage war with the pirates in order to kill them and exterminate them and wipe them out in a process. Captain Sazo's parents exactly fought against the monsters, and in the process, they're ending up losing their life. During the destruction of the pirate dimension, Captain Sazo witnessed firsthand that the monsters were quietly sent by the original Lord of Magic in order to wipe out the pirates and to create an extinction event of the magical pirate creatures that existed in the sacred dimension. Captain Sazor exactly had been fueled with revenge and a thirst for vengeance to avenge his parents and also to make sure that this never exactly ever happens again to any child or to any children who belong to the sacred world or to the rest of humanity. At this point, Captain Sazo drilled and trained himself in hand-to-hand combat, in swordsmanship, hand-to-hand combat, in agility, in shurikens and guns, bullets, daggers, training himself to become the proper pirate and also the ruthless pirate of all. At the age of 39, Captain Sazo fully grown up and had his own pirate ship and his own pirate crew, which they journeyed into the sacred ocean and discovered that the Red Empire has conquered many volcanic islands and known worlds and placed them under its sole control. During at that time, Captain Sazo and his crew raided raided many conquered volcanic islands and cities full of magical warlocks and warlords and pirates and warlords and pirates and evil fairies and evil witches. Raided those villages and cities, able to extract in the minerals and able to extract in the gold, able to extract in gold coins and golds and gold as well in a process in order to making sure that they become rich and very quietly filthy rich. During at the time, the four nation hunters apprehended Captain Caesar and the rest of his crew and exactly sentenced them directly in custody to remain in the astral prison, a prison designed to house super criminals and super villains and also dark evil warlords and pseudo empire warlords and dog druids and dog witches and dog faithful as well in the process. Despite that, Captain Sazo exactly remained in the astral prison for many years until he heard the rumors of the new Universal heroes and of the new alliance. Until then, Universal Men exactly appeared within the astral prison on the ninth on the on the 20th on the 20th on the 20th on the 20th of January and exactly asked the prison guards to release Captain Sazra under his custody as well. Captain Sazra exactly agreed to Universal's proposition and he decided to join the Universal Heroes of fight up against the original Lord of Magic and taking him down once and for all. Captain Sazra was quietly present on the 29th when he witnessed the demise of the original Lord of Magic, which created a power vacuum on the 1st of February, which created a power vacuum within the Shadow Empire, forcing up the Shadow Empire warlord and commander to secretly forming alliances with ancient groups of supervillains known as the Order of the Five, the Order of the Six, the Order of the Seven, the Order of the Eight, the order of the Six, the order of the Seven, and the order of the 12, and the order of the 12, and the founders and the Unholy Alliance, the Sacred Circle, and also the Sacred Five, as well. In order for them to secretly supply them with destructive Shadow Empire technology, these ancient groups of supervillains will continue to supplying them with more worlds, with more conquered worlds and planets and nations and sacred nations and conquered sacred cities that have been under their sole control and exactly supplying them with those worlds and planets as well. Captain Sazra exactly discovered that the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders have secretly formed a powerful, formidable alliance with their greatest and most formidable, powerful enemies, and Captain Sazra decided to go on a rogue mission in order to take down the Shadow Empire warlords once and for all. On the 3rd of February, which he told Universal Man exactly that. And Universal Man and Captain Sazor exactly shook hands, and Universal Man told Captain Sazor that he will officially be a member of the Universal Heroes. Captain Sazor exactly told Universal Man that he's not a member of the Universal Heroes. He doesn't even know exactly which team of heroes he's in, but he's willing to do whatever it takes to stop the Shadow Empire warlords by any means necessary. On the 10th of February, Captain Sazor officially graduated into the Intergalactic Coalition and was officially accepted into the Intergalactic Coalition of the Four Nation Hunters, able to working with the Intergalactic Coalition of Four Nation Hunters into restoring peace and sacred harmony and sacred balance to the sacred world and to the sacred universe and to the known universe and to the sacred nations and clans and tribes and to the Mixel universe, the robotics universe, the over universe, the light universe, the dark universe, the sacred universe, the star universe as well, the star universe and the golden universe as well, in a process in order to restoring peace within those universes and within those sacred nations and clans and tribes as well. And Captain Sizer happily obliged to becoming a full member of the Intergalactic Coalition. After that, he secretly resigned from the Universal Heroes and became a full member of the Intergalactic Coalition as well in the process. On the 15th of February, Captain Sizer and the rest of the Intergalactic Coalition and the rest of the Intergalactic Coalition battle cruisers intercepted a rogue battle cruiser of the Shadow Empire warlord who's about to exactly destroy an entire inhabited planet that is full of aliens. They exactly waged war with the Shadow Empire warlord and exactly battled him against his battle cruiser. So systematically, Captain Sizer portals straightly directly into the battle cruiser's source where the Shadow Empire warlord was quietly commanding in and completely battled against him and completely took him down. The Shadow Empire warlord told Captain Sizer that his loyalty is straightly to the new Lord of Magic, who Captain Sizer was quietly shocked and very quietly surprised that there's a new Lord of Magic rising from the Shadow, and the Shadow Empire warlord told Captain Sizer that this new little magic is reassembling an ancient group. He's reassembling his ancient group of supervillains that existed many, many centuries ago, and he calls it the Order of Power that wants to exterminate and wipe out the supernaturals, aliens, and superhumans, the Intergalactic Coalition, the Four Nation Hunters, the Universal Heroes, and the rest of the sacred heroes of the sacred world and of the sacred universe as well in the process. Captain Sizer was completely shocked and completely shocked out of his mind that there's a new little magic and that he's posing a greater magnificent threat than ever before. Captain Sizer exactly told the other Four Nation Hunters of the Intergalactic Coalition to take the Shadow Empire warlord straightly into the astral prison to him in custody for his crimes against the rest of the galaxy, against the rest of the sacred worlds and of the known worlds in the process. Captain Sizer officially arrived on the planet's surface, greeting the inhabitants of the planets on the 16th of February, telling them that they prevented and intervened. They prevented the Shadow Empire warlord from destroying the planet and the rest of the inhabitants. And the inhabitants completely thanked Captain Sizer, stated to him that they're in the service of the Intergalactic Coalition and that they'll officially work with the Intergalactic Coalition no matter what. Despite that, exactly, Captain Sizer returned to the central headquarters of the Intergalactic Coalition on the 20th of February, where the members of the Intergalactic Coalition exactly attended a meeting, able to exactly speak about their grievances and anything else in order to stopping the Red Empire, Lord Shadowjack's Empire, Lord Justin's Empire, and Dark Master's Empire, and also the Shadow Empire warlords and the new Shadow Empire that's secretly being reformed under the current leadership of the new Lord of Magic, and also the original Shadow Empire that's under the current leadership of another ancient and powerful secret society known as a Dark Order that's currently led by Red Bolt, who's a supervillain and a founder and a leader of the Dark Order as well. Despite this, exactly, Captain Sizer told the Four Nation Hunter elders and leaders of the Intergalactic Coalition that they have to exactly take drastic measures and action in order to preventing these threats and these forces of evil from exactly controlling or rather conquering the rest of the known universe and the rest of the sacred nations and the rest of the sacred clans and tribes and the rest of the known worlds of the sacred universe by any means necessary. Captain Sizer told the Four Nation Intergalactic Coalition elders that he will be exactly be doing he'll be exactly creating a covert team of pirates of his own in order to prevent these forces of evil from staging raids and other sinister raids on other planets and clans and tribes on other known worlds and civilization to make sure this can never exactly happen again, no matter what. And the Intergalactic Coalition leader of the Four Nation Hunters shook hands with Captain Sizer and told him that the Intergalactic Coalition has become compromised and that it's officially being influenced by the new Order Magic and by the other forces of evil, meaning that, in other words, Captain Sizer has to watch his back completely right now. And Captain Sizer secretly whispered that he will exactly do just that by any means necessary. On the 10th of March, Captain Sizer and the rest of his pirates exactly intercepted a battleship of the Red Empire exactly beginning to stage a raid on the lost clans and the lost tribes of the supernatural between the worlds and the fairies who are quietly living in harmony together, and they were willing to exactly stage raids on those clans in order to extract the elements and the minerals of them. Captain Sizer and the rest of these pirates exactly fought up against the soldiers of the Red Empire and completely took them down. But the soldiers kept on coming, more and more on them kept on exactly coming, as if they completely overpowered the pirates and also Captain Sizer himself. Captain Sizer completely never decided never to give up, and he continued to press forward with the attack, and so did many of the other werewolves and fairies, continuing on to assisting and helping them, and they completely drove off the enemy's battleships and the rest of the Red Empire and the rest of the Red Empire soldiers and the rest of the Red Empire soldiers and raiding soldiers away, and they completely drove off, and the rest of the lost clans and tribes of the werewolves and of the fairies felt victorious, and Captain Sizer completing the clans of the lost werewolves and the clans of the lost werewolves and fairies completely thanked Captain Sizer for the assistance and help, stating to him that the pirates are making a good, remarkable difference as well. On the 15th of March, Captain Sizer exactly attended a meeting of the pirates within the sacred dimension, is quietly within the sacred universe, and the pirates exactly decided not to exactly engage in this sacred galactic conflict or any of the dark wars or wars of the universal heroes or the four nation hunters or the intergalactic coalition or any of the united heroes or the universal founders or any of the sacred heroes or any of the sacred heroes or the sacred team who are gladly exactly assisting them to restoring sacred peace and balance and to restore everything else. Captain Sarzo completely stormed in the room and he spoke out of his mind and told the elders of the pirates that the stakes are more high than ever been, and that if the fallen completely returns one way or another, he couldn't exactly undo everything that the intergalactic coalition and the four nation hunters and the universal heroes have gladly exactly managed to restore the peace and balance to the sacred universe and also to the sacred world. And also Captain Sato informed them of the threat of the universal prince, the Dark King, the founders, the Order of the Five, the Order of the Six, the Order of the Seven, and also the Unholy Alliance and the Sacred Circle and the New Little Magic and Red Bolt and the Star Empire and the Golden Masters and the Dark Monsters of the Dark Dimension, which are being summoned by an unknown evil force, and also the Dark Sisters and also the most powerful dark evil magic users who are still at large by any means, and the evil warlords and warlocks and druids and dark powerful magic users who are still quietly at large as well, who are still creating traumatic chaos and havoc upon they wake and upon they wake and upon they wake and upon the urge for seeking destruction and chaos upon this, which in other words the age of darkness will soon exactly return, is what Captain Salzo told the elders of the pirates. And the elders of the pirates exactly told themselves that they will not put their hand in any of the sacred galactic conflict or saving humanity or any known worlds or planets or the sacred nations or the sacred universe or the magical cities or the capital magical cities or any of the civilization fighting those forces of evil, that they'll only save their dimension and their worlds and their planets. That is what they're willing to do, to utilizing their resources. And the elders of the pirates exactly told Captain Salzo to their face that they don't trust the intergalactic coalition or the four nation hunters or the united heroes. They don't trust them completely. That is what they exactly told Captain Salzo. Despite this, Captain Salzo completely exactly walked away from the meeting and decided in order to take matters into his own hands as well by any means necessary. On the 20th on the 20th of March, Captain Sazo exactly met up with a group of other pirates and leaders who decided to exactly join forces with him, and they decided to take an army of battleships and battle cruisers and an airship fleet in order to help Captain Sazo in liberating many worlds and thousands of planets and civilizations throughout the sacred system and throughout the rest of sacred existence. And they all shook hands. They are with Captain Sazo, and they wanted to do whatever it takes to fight against the forces of evil and take them down, no matter what. On the 10th of April, Captain Sazo and the rest of his forces arrived on a destroyed, abandoned planet and world, looking at the destruction of everything else. They managed not to find any. They didn't manage not to find any civilians or any magical creatures or warlocks or witches or fairies or dragons or anything else. But Captain Sazo began to discover that this was a time where the dragons used to live many centuries ago, and that the dragons were one of the most grateful, powerful races throughout the sacred world, and they were misused as weapons by the fallen in order to exterminate and to create a rift among the supernaturals and the aliens and the superhumans, meaning that the age of darkness is soon exactly returning. Despite that, the dark magic users completely revealed themselves and told Captain Sazo and the rest of the pirates that they will not allow their interference to thwart their plans or their sinister goals. And the Dark Tourists completely besieged the entire magical planet and the rest of the civilization into dark, besieged it with their dark magic, and the pirates exactly fought back. Some of them were completely decimated, as in many lives and many casualties were lost, and Captain Sazo and the rest of his forces gained the upper hand and drove the dark magic users away. Captain Sazo told the pirates that they're quietly in the war and that there's no turning back now. And the other pirates completely told Captain Sazo that some of them are quietly defecting and are leaving the war, and the others are going back to the sacred dimension where they exactly belong. And the other pirates exactly stood along Captain Sazo, telling him that this time is time for them to make a difference, no matter what. On the 11th of April, Captain Sazo completely met up with Universal Man and the members of the Universal Heroes on the asteroid base where Warboy was able to tell Captain Sazo that the Intergalactic Coalition is under the influence of the new Loro magic, and it's still under the current influence of the new Loro magic, and they managed to draw out the spy and the moles and the traitors who are still working for the Loro magic, and these operatives are still highly at large and are still wreaking greater havoc. And Gregory is going to use this to his advantage in order to put the Universal Prince at the throne of the Universal Throne, so he can become the sole ruler of the universe and thrust the rest of sacred existence into chaos and into destruction. And Captain Sazo told Warboy and the rest of the Universal Heroes that won't exactly happen as long as he's still drawing breath, no matter what. On the 20th of April, Captain Sazo completely exactly attended a meeting with the rest of his pirates on the central headquarters of their base, which was an island city, that's quietly closer to a volcano, where they were able to exactly patch up the ideas in order to saving known worlds and planets and cities. And Captain Sazo and the rest of the pirates exactly came up with a plan in order to saving the known worlds and the lost cities and the lost planets from being controlled by the Red Empire or from the Ice Creature or from the Founders or from the Order of the Five. And they decided it's best that they exactly neutralize the man. They decided it's best to remove the grip of the Red Empire from those cities and those worlds and those planets, and that they have an idea in order to do so. And Captain Sazo said that he was all ears and that he's willing to do whatever it takes to restore the harmony and peace to the sacred world and to the sacred universe and to the rest of the other universes as well, by any means necessary. On the 10th of May, Captain Sazo and the rest of the pirates exactly surrendered to the enemy, returned to the magical cities and surrendered to the enemy and surrendered to the enemy's forces. And the new governor of the new magical city told the soldiers to stand out, and Captain Sazo told the governor that this is just about to begin. Captain Sazo told the people of the magical worlds to get up and fight back for their cities and everything else. And the revolution began as the warlocks and the witches and the druids and the faithful and the witches and the fairies began fighting up against the army of the Red Empire, and took out the soldiers and the army of the Red Empire and drove them away from the city. The governor was completely unhappy, as the governor told it's time to bring up the greatest battleman's armor. The governor and the rest of the soldiers and the rest of the army of the Red Empire brought the powerful battle mech machines, highly adapted and highly advanced with technological advancement, in order to fight up against the enemy. Captain Sazo realizes they're up against the worst, dangerous, ruthless empire that's ever existed throughout the time of the Shadow Empire, and decided for them to fall back and retreat completely. On the 21 of April, Captain Sazo and the rest of the civilians were able to create another safe haven and another center within the far fringes of the mountains of the city, where they were able to lay down. And he told the citizens of the city that they will come up with a better plan and a better strategy to liberate the city from the control of the Red Empire, and they will do whatever it takes, no matter what. Despite this, the rest of the pirates were quietly feeling hesitant, and they decided in order to give up, and some of them decided in order to defect and move away. The other rest of the pirates decided to stay behind and helping Captain Sazo fight against the forces of evil, no matter what. On the 9th of May, Captain Sazo completely returned to the headquarters of the Intergalactic Coalition, and he discovered a huge treachery betrayal was quietly implemented, and he saw the former leader of the Intergalactic Coalition quietly returning, and he completely mind controlled Captain Sazo and told him that it's time for him to fulfill his true objective and his purpose. On the 10th of May, Captain Sazo fully allowed the clearance and entry of the new Loro Magic within the central headquarters of the Intergalactic Coalition, and the new Loro Magic told Captain Sazo that he'd done a very good job and a very, very great plan, and that everything else is going according to plan, the way it's intended to be. Despite this, Captain Sazo tried to fight up against the new Loro Magic, and Jet quietly completely repelled his attack with his dark magic and told Captain Sazo that he's very much useful alive to him than rather to be dead. And the rest of his operatives appeared from the shadows and took Captain Sazo directly into the laboratory, where he was completely being experimented, and Captain Sazo completely broke back and liberated himself and completely escaped after that. On the 11th of May, Captain Sazo completely told the Universal Earth Heroes his story and everything else, that it was quietly completely news to the pawn in order to empower Lord Jet with his plan to further his ultimate plan and his goal, and that he was a spy and the mole after that. After that, he completely defected, and he completely found out his purpose once and for all, to find his purpose again. On the 10th of June, on the 10th of June, the rest of members of the Universal Heroes met up with Captain Sizer on Pirate City, on top of Pirate City, able to exactly speak with him, telling him that he needs to find his redemption and everything else. And Captain Sizer exactly told the rest of the members of the Universal Heroes that there's nothing he can do to the damage and the chaos he's quietly created, and that there's nothing he can do to the damage and chaos he's quietly created, and that everything else he's been doing has been nothing else but used by the forces of evil. Universal Man exactly tried to talk some sense into Captain Sizer, telling him that he was under the control of the enemy. That's not exactly his fault or anything else. Captain Sizer exactly still exactly left and told the other sacred heroes that he's done with the war and with fighting, and that is no longer part of his life anymore. He returned to his apartment in order to find Five Dragon exactly waiting there for him, and Five Dragon completely told Captain Sizer that she's on his side and that he has a better proposal in order to help him strengthen his purpose and also his mission as well. On the on the on the 20th on the 20th of May, on the 20th of May, on the 20th of May, Fire Dragon and Captain Sato exactly infiltrated a fortress full of assassins, full of assassins of the world archers, of the wild archers who were heavily guarding and protecting a secret chamber, and completely took them down. And Captain Sato discovered a huge genetic clone that was quietly created after before him, and Captain Sato decided in order to look after it and successfully guiding it. On the on the 9th of July, the clone fully regained consciousness and everything else and began asking questions exactly what's successfully happening. Captain Sato explained everything else to the clone, successfully telling him that the bad guys created him and quietly successfully used him in order to use Captain Sato as a bigger pawn to allowing them access to the asteroid base of the Intergalactic Coalition for them to further their plans and the ultimate goal, and also to do much more worse. The clone was quietly shocked and outrageous, and he decided to accept Captain Sato as his brother, and also Captain Sato decided to accept the clone as his brother, and he decided to train him and groom him. On the 16th of July, Captain Sato exactly returned back to his sacred dimension, where he was able to train the clone, treating him like his younger brother, able to groom him in hand-to-hand combat and also in swordsmanship and tactician, telling him that he can never exactly show mercy to the enemy, and that he's been doing a very secretive covert mission of his own in order to liberate many worlds and planets and civilizations and nations from the Shadow Empire, and also from the rogues, and also from the forces of evil as well. And the clone completely agreed, stating that he will help Captain Sizer no matter what, taking down the bad guys and also restoring sacred peace and harmony to the sacred world and also to the sacred universe as well. On the 10th of August, Captain Sizer and the rest of the pirates completely exactly staged a raid on the Red Empire island bases, on the Red Empire command island, where they were able to exactly gather intelligence and gathering all the crystals and all the materials until the soldiers completely exactly revealed themselves and completely fighting up against the pirates and completely taking them down one after the other. And Captain Sato completely exactly took out the command pirate, completely took down the commander of the soldiers and completely exactly had him hostage and told the soldiers completely surrender. After that, they took all the minerals and everything else and completely left and returned those minerals and crystals to the known worlds and to the lost clans and tribes of the sacred world and of the sacred universe, and the inhabitants were completely proud and told Captain Sazer to keep those minerals and those crystals, and that they're better off to be used by him and the rest of his forces. Captain Sazer completely returned to the pirate dimension, and to the pirate dimension known as the sacred dimension on the 15 on the 15 on the 15th of August, where the rest of the pirates were able to completely congratulate Captain Sazo, stating that he'd done a very good job and everything else, and that the pirates were completely successfully proud. Captain Sazo told the rest of the pirates in order for them to please exactly help him fighting back against the forces of evil, and the rest of the elderly pirates exactly stated that they will exactly assist and help Captain Sazo fighting against the rest of the forces of evil. After that, Captain Sazo exactly returned to his house only to find a powerful dark witch known as Witchcaster was exactly waiting within the shadows. Before exactly told Witchcaster that he will exactly take her down, Witchcaster exactly told Captain Sizer that there's a limited energy, dark energy spell of dark power that the forces of evil are willing to exactly gain their hands on, and it's up to you to destroy it or either prevent it from falling to the wrong hands. After that, Witchcaster teleported herself and exactly retreated away. After that, exactly, Captain Sazer decided to inform the rest of the pirates that their mission has quietly changed direction, that it has to change, and in order to cleanse and redeem the intergalactic coalition of its actions, it's time for phase 2, no matter what. On the 9th of September, Captain Sazo met up with the members of the Intergalactic Coalition and exactly told them it's time for them to liberate many worlds and planets from the Intergalactic Coalition, from the Shadow Empire, and also to exactly grant them freedom by fighting up against the world's greatest enemy. And no matter what, the Intergalactic Coalition before Ancient Andros told Captain Sato that Nurzak is rising in power and also is ascending in power, and that the Thunder Heroes are doing everything they can in their power and ability in order to save their world and their planet from the control from the soul conquest of Nurzak and also in his forces, who is exactly other way aligned himself with the Order of the Five. And Captain Sato, despite this, Captain Sato decided in order to help the Thunder Heroes fight up against their common enemy as well. On the 15th of September, Captain Sazo exactly assisted the Heroes by fighting up against the forces of Nurzak, which they gladly took them down and exactly able to beat them down. Despite this, the Heroes exactly shook hands with Captain Sazo, told him that his services and everything else will always be required, and that they exactly put him as a brother, and so did Captain Sazo as well. Despite this, he parted ways with the Heroes and returned straightly back to the sacred dimension, finding it under the sole control over the Red Empire. And Captain Sato was shocked that the sacred dimension has fallen and that the pirate dimension has fallen under the sole control of the Red Empire, and that there's nothing he can do, seeing all those battleships and battle cruisers and airship fleet and soldiers and many thousands of soldiers controlling the sacred dimension. He realizes that the rest of his home dimension is under the sole control over the Red Empire. He returned back to the Intergalactic Coalition Central Headquarters on the 1st of October and told the members of the Intergalactic Coalition to help him exactly liberate his home dimension. And the Intergalactic Coalition told Captain Said that the resources are spread too thin, and that they don't have any power or anything else, and the Universal Heroes are still exactly at war with the force of evil, and the Universal Magic Heroes are still fighting the good fight. Their resources are spread too thin, and the Intergalactic Coalition is compromised, and that there's nothing they can do to order to save the rest of their world or the rest of their planets in anything else case. And with the Galactic Coalition being compromised and under the influence of the universal magic, their resources are quite slightly spread too thin. Captain Sato decided on its best to create a revolution that is so big and so very quite spontaneous as well. On the 10th of October, Captain Sato met up with the warlocks, witches, druids, faithful, werewolves, and fairies and witches and fairy witches alike, and also hybrids of the dragons and also hybrids of the dragon race who can transform into human form, and exactly told them it's time for them to fight back in order for them to seize control over their worlds and planets against the Shadow Empire and against Lord Shadow Jack's Empire and against Darkmaster's Empire and against the Shadow Empire and against the Red Empire, to exactly save their worlds and the civilization, and the rest of the other inhabitants and the rest of the other races agreed with Captain Sazer that it's time for them to fight back. On the 15th of October, Captain Sazer brought a huge army of supernaturals and aliens and superhumans to fight up against the Red Empire's forces, and the Red Empire's soldiers and forces exactly marched on and exactly fought up against an army of a supernatural and alien and superhumans as well. And Captain Sazer exactly took on the lead and fighting up against the forces, as it was completely outmatched and outnumbered, as a airship fleet decimated thousands of them, completely laying waste to all of them, and a fleet of battleships completely laid waste to the rest of the other battleships and defeating them. And Captain Sazer was completely taken captive and as well as a hostage to the Red Empire. And the commander and warlord of the Red Empire stated to Captain Sazer that he fought his good fight, but from now on he'll be kept as a prisoner. And he was quietly shifted straightly into the middle of an ocean, into the middle of the Red Empire's prison, into the Red Empire's prison, which is quietly in the middle of the known worlds ocean, where it was completely shifted, and he remained there. On the 10th of November, Captain Salzo and the rest of the other prisoners began a revolution, and they started liberating themselves from the prison island of the Red Empire, and gladly exactly fought back, and they were completely exactly liberated. Captain Salzo exactly returned to the sacred temples, where he was able to study more about the dragons and everything else on the 15th of November, and learning more about the dragons that are quietly exactly still extinct, and you learn that there's still supernatural dragons still gratefully at large, and they still existing evil or rather good dragons, and then he can exactly need their aid and their assistance as well. On the 10th of December, Captain Sazo entered on their sacred island, entered on the sacred island on the ancients of the Dragon Temple, sacred islands or the sacred worlds, where he was able to exactly meet up with the dragon guardians and keepers. And the dragon guardians and keepers told Captain Caesar this is where the dragons were completely exactly kept safe. And the evil dragon completely revealed himself in Captain Caesar and told Captain Caesar what does he want. Captain Caesar told the dragon that he wants to fight up against the new Lord of Magic and take down the Universal Prince once and for all. And the dragon completely agreed, telling him that they will give him an extraordinary power and a gift of immortality that can exactly help him defeat his greatest enemy and formidable foe once and for all. And Captain Caesar gladly agreed. The dragon exactly breathed down its fiery pyre of fire straight at Captain Caesar, and Captain Caesar fully emerged from the fire more stronger and more powerful and more immortal, and told the dragon that he will use this power to decimate and wipe out its enemies once and for all. Despite this, guys, Captain Caesar is a very compassionate pirate and a very compassionate pirate and a very compassionate superhero who comes from the sacred dimension where it lives pirates, where it lives pirates and only pirates with ships, with battleships and everything else, where they all live in harmony together as one. He's been studying the sacred war and the sacred galactic war and the sacred universes war for many years and for many years and for many centuries throughout his whole life. And he witnessed the death of his parents with his own very eye, killed by the monsters of the dark dimension. He promised to avenge them. And he promised to exactly using his fire of vengeance and revenge to fill his inspiration. He inspired an entire race of supernaturals and aliens and superhumans of rebellion to fight up against the oppressiveness, to fight up against the evil empires known as the Shadow Empire, the Red Empire, the Red Empire, and Lord Shadowjack's Empire, Dark Master's Empire, and Lord Justin's Empire as well, to take them down and also to neutralize them. Despite this, he views the Universal Prince as the greatest threat to the rest of sacred existence, and the new Lord of Magic as a greater threat as well, and the Star Empire as the greatest threat, and Red Bolt and also the most powerful greatest threat, and the greatest threat that ever existed throughout the rest of sacred history. Despite this, Captain Caesar will do whatever it takes to preserve sacred history and the rest of the sacred world's history, and also to protect it. He will even go to extreme measures to protecting the rest of the ancient dark spell ultimate power from the forces of evil, even to going to so much extreme measures to destroying it and also to preventing it from falling from the forces of evil. His greatest and most formidable enemy is the new Lord of Magic and the Universal Prince, who's a founder and leader of the Order of the 12, and the new Lord of Magic, who's a founder and leader of the Order of Power that wants to exterminate and wipe out the supernaturals and the aliens and the superhumans and the universal heroes and the United Heroes and the Intergalactic Coalition of Formation Hunter in the process, so they can become the sole rulers of the known universe and the rest of sacred existence. Despite this, Captain Caesar is very skilled in hand-to-hand combat, swordsmanship, guns, blades, daggers, bullets, guns, blades, and daggers, and also strategist, and also in leadership skills, and also very smart and very incredibly smart and intelligent pirate who has lived throughout the sacred world and the sacred universe for many years and for many centuries. He's exactly the type of leader who would exactly create a revolution and a rebellion in order to fight up against the forces of evil, in order to crippling the forces of evil operation, and also as well as their goals. Despite this, he loves the universal heroes and he views them as brothers, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to help them to also to restoring sacred peace and also sacred peace and sacred balance to the sacred universe. He believes in the Intergalactic Coalition's goals to restoring sacred peace and sacred balance to the sacred world and liberating worlds and planets from the control of the Shadow Empire, and is willing to do whatever it takes to stop the Shadow Empire and also to take them down by any means necessary. He's incredibly intelligent, smart, and very caring and full of compassion for humanity and for the supernaturals, aliens, and superhumans as well, no matter what. He comes from the sacred dimension, which is within the sacred universe where lived pirates and only pirates. Is a dimension where pirates live in harmony all together, where the sole rulers of the dimension. But right now it's currently under the control of the Red Empire and has been conquered over the Red Empire and still is under the sole control over the Red Empire. The pirates have huge armies of battleships and airship fleets under their sole control, and air balloons under their sole control, and they have many resources and everything else, and they despise the monsters of the dark dimension, which they've been able to battle against them for many centuries and for many years, and they continue to do so. And despite this, Captain Sarsar is willing to make sure that the pirates live in harmony with the rest of the other creatures known as the aliens, superhumans, and supernaturals of the sacred world and of the sacred universe as well. Despite this, Captain Sarsar views the Intergalactic Coalition elders, the elders of the Intergalactic Coalition, as grandpa, and is also as leaders of the Intergalactic Coalition as brothers and sisters, and is willing to do whatever it takes to exactly work with them and also to protect them, and also to protect their integrity and also their reputation as well in the process. Well, guys, Captain Sato also maintains his usual basis of operation as well, his central headquarters where he can exactly operate from in secrecy and everything else, and uses those bases of operations as his volcanic islands and cities and world and other worldly planets and civilization for him to exactly operate from with the rest of his crew pirates, so they can exactly operate from in full secrecy and discuss their plans and everything and all of that. And he also maintains the central headquarters of the Universal Heroes base of the asteroid base of the operation in secrecy as well, to keep it in secrecy, and also the other bases of operation for secrecy as well. He's very compassionate, very lovable, and he's very caring, and he's very, very immortal and extremely a powerful pirate who has existed for many years and still does exist even now. He's willing to do whatever it takes to protecting mankind and the sacred world and the supernaturals, aliens, superhumans from the forces of evil by any means necessary. Well, guys, that's it for today's episode. I'll exactly see you on Monday. I'll be able to upload it on Monday because I'm having a bit of a problem downloading and uploading it on a Friday. You'll only receive it on Monday. For those of you who are watching the long video, you'll receive it on Monday. Enjoy your weekend and your great weekend. Enjoy your blessed weekend and your day. Have a blessed weekend and have a great evening and a blessed day. Love you all, and God bless you all. Thank you for your support in watching and viewing my episode. See you next week, Monday. Yes. Bye. Bye. Goodbye.